You know, we show a lot of pictures like this coming in and out of commercial during the Australian Open, and it may give you the impression that Melbourne is beautiful and diverse and great for beach lovers and outdoors people and foodies and shoppers. And that's really because it is, which makes our guest's job rather simple. Damien de Bohun is the general manager of major events for Visit Victoria. First of all, happy Australia Day. I know that's the first thing we have to say.
It's a special day, Brett.
It is, and it's okay for you to admit to the people at home that you have an easy job because the thing that you're selling and promoting kind of sells and promotes itself.
Well, where else would you rather be than in Melbourne today? It's an incredible city, a wonderful backdrop, and the Australian Open is here as one of our biggest events.
Yeah, talk about the Australian Open as being sort of a showcase for people. It's kind of the gateway for a lot of tourists and tennis fans into Melbourne. They come to see the tennis, and then they see the rest of the state and the city. How important is this event for those purposes?
It's huge for those purposes. Some 800,000 people come through the gates, and that will get bigger in the years to come. We have so many international and interstate travellers, so many from the United States who come here, particularly for the Australian Open. And what it does is it opens the gateway to all of the things that Melbourne and the region of Victoria has to offer.
And it's not just the Australian Open. People who spend time here know, because it's said all the time, that Melbourne is the sporting mecca of this country. It is a global hub of sports. I mean, not just the tennis center, but to the left there is the MCG, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, which was the Olympic Stadium back in the 50s. And whether it's auto racing or tennis or cricket or golf, I mean, this is a global destination for world-class sport.
There's no question about that. We have, of course, the Formula One Grand Prix every year in March, and not too far away we have the President's Cup Golf in 2019 coming back to Melbourne for the second time. So we have such a wide range of global sports and such a great footprint that people come to enjoy.
I'm really psyched to see my first BBL cricket match tomorrow night.
Yes.
I've now, I think I'm a Slammers. The Slammers, that's the local team, right? That's one of them?
Renegades or the Stars?
Oh, the Stars. So where do the Slammers play?
Nowhere.
There's no Slammers? Maybe that's just a cocktail that I was thinking of. I digress. I'm sorry. But so if you're not a sporting person, there is the city, and I know they call New York the city that never sleeps, but it's really a 24-hour thing here in Melbourne, whether it's music or fashion or food or nightlife. It goes all day and all night.
Yeah, Melbourne is a truly 24/7 city, and if you look at what the Australian Open Tennis have done this year, they've actually created a partnership with our National Gallery of Art that anyone who comes from overseas gets a free ticket to go and see the art, which has been incredibly successful. So whether it's going to the National Gallery of Victoria or to our rooftop bars or to one of the hundreds of tremendous restaurants, there is so much to see and do for people who come to the tennis.
For Americans and North Americans who've never been here outside of what you've just mentioned in the sport, give us a sense of some of the key experiences that Americans would take part in and enjoy when they make the trip.
One of the great things about Melbourne is literally within an hour there are so many beautiful natural things to see. We have these gorgeous little fairy penguins not too far, about an hour away down in Phillip Island. We have the 12 Apostles, which is a famous part of Great Ocean Road. We have amazing wineries that really resemble parts of Italy, and so many other natural escapes and beautiful bushwalks and things to see. So for Americans that love and North Americans that love all those activities, there's so much to do as well.
And I think people have seen pictures, and we've certainly shown the 12 Apostles. There you go, down at the end of the Great Ocean Road. I rented a car and drove out there before the tournament a couple of years ago, and there's so much more than that. It reminds me of Northern California a little bit, the way there are these kind of one-off beach towns that you might stop in and have lunch and go jump in the ocean. Explain what that is, to say nothing of Bell's Beach and all of that.
Well, Bell's Beach, of course, hosts the longest-running surfing competition in the world, and it was made famous in Point Break, the Keanu Reeves movie going some time back. But if you go down the Great Ocean Road, there are beautiful spots all the way to stop, wonderful beaches and a coastline that you won't see anywhere else in the world.
And the other thing is, I think some Americans get a little intimidated by the trip, but I think it's worth noting, especially for those of us who make the trip every year, with these Dreamliners now, there's nonstop service from a bunch of American cities, and it's really not, you get on the plane, you go to sleep, you wake up, and you're here. You'd be sleeping anyway, right?
As Australians, we realise we have to travel long distances to get business done globally, and it really isn't that far. And the Dreamliners have made a massive difference. A lot of different airlines have opened up directly into Melbourne for people, so we're seeing a huge increase in North Americans and South Americans, for that matter, coming into Melbourne.
Well, from all of us, thank you as always for the hospitality, and happy Australia Day. We're going to have fun celebrating with you.
Thanks so much, Breck.
Damien de Bohun from Visit Victoria, we invite you to. It is summer here. while it's winter there. That's the reason you need all by itself. We will take a break, come back with the women's doubles final. Coming up at midnight Eastern, Babos, Mladenovic, Makarova, Vesnina. Back to Melbourne in just a moment.